A and B are two numbers on the number line below. The difference between A and B is 140. Write the values of A and B. So we know that the difference is 140, and to get from A to B, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines. So what we can do is divide the difference by 7, because we have 7 jumps to get from A to B, and that tells us that each jump, each line, is a difference of 20. So if we know that this point here is 0, we have 20, 40, 60, and then 20 less than 0 will be minus 20, and then we'll have minus 40, minus 60, and minus 80. So that means A is minus 80 and B is 60. The diagram shows a right-angled triangle inside a circle. The circle has a radius of 5 centimetres. Calculate the area of the triangle. So the radius is the length from the centre of a circle to the edge. So if we know that this length is 5 centimetres, then this length will be 5 centimetres as well. So to find the area of a triangle, to find the amount of space that a triangle takes up, we multiply the base by the height and then divide by 2. So we can work out that 5 times 5 is 25, and then we can divide by 2, and that gives us 12.5 or 12.5. So the area of the triangle is 12.5 centimetres squared. N stands for a number. Complete this table of values. So first we have n as 20, and we need to work out 5n minus 2. Now 5n means 5 times n, so we can work out 5 times 20 minus 2. 5 times 20 is 100, and 100 minus 2 is 98. But now we don't know n, but we do know that 5n minus 2 is 38. So 5 times the number that's n minus 2 is 38. So before we subtracted 2, we would have had 40 in brackets, because 40 minus 2 is 38. So we need to think 5 times what is 40? Well, 5 times 8 is 40, so that means 5 times 8 in brackets minus 2 is 38. So that means n must be 8. The dotted line is a diagonal of this rhombus. If angle A is 80 degrees, what is angle B? So with a rhombus, all of the sides are the same length, because a rhombus is like a square that's been pushed over. So if angle A is 80 degrees, we know that the angle on the opposite corner will be 80 as well, and we need to find angle B. But we can spot that if we divide a rhombus in half, we have an isosceles triangle. So if we subtract 80 from 180, because there are 180 degrees in a triangle, that gives us 100. So angle B and this angle here will total 100 degrees. But because the triangle is isosceles, these angles will be the same. So if we divide 100 by 2, that tells us that each of these angles, and of course each of these angles as well, will be 50 degrees. Now, if angle B is 80 degrees, what is angle A? So angle B is 80, which means that these other angles are 80 as well. So to find angle A, we can remember again that there are 180 degrees in a triangle, and we have 80 and 80, so we already have 160, and that tells us that to make 180 degrees in our triangle, we need another 20. so A is 20 degrees. This is a centimetre grid. On the grid, draw a triangle which has an area of 7.5 centimetres squared and which has an obtuse angle. So to find the area of a triangle, we multiply the base by the height and then divide by 2. And we need an area of 7.5 centimetres squared. So what times what divided by 2 is 7.5. Well, if we multiply 7.5 by 2, that gives us 15. So the product of these numbers needs to be 15. So we can have 5 and 3, because 5 times 3 is 15, divided by 2 is 7.5. So we can draw a triangle that has a base of 5 centimetres and a height of 3 centimetres. But our triangle needs to have an obtuse angle. So remember, an obtuse angle is larger than a right angle, more than 90 degrees. So rather than going 3 up and joining our point here, let's go across and join our point to this point. That way we have an obtuse angle, we have an angle that's larger than 90 degrees, but we also have a height, so a distance from bottom to top of 3 centimetres. And then we can join up our points so we have our triangle. But there are lots of possible different answers, lots of different triangles that we could draw. You can make only 6 different cuboids with 24 cubes. Complete the table to show the dimensions. 2 have been done for you. We could have 1 by 3 by 8, because 1 times 3 is 3, times 8 is 24. We can have 1, 4 and 6, because 1 times 4 is 4, times 6 is 24. We could have 2 by 2 by 6, 2 times 2 is 4, times 6 is 24. Or we could have 2 by 3 by 4, because 2 times 3 is 6, times 4 is 24. 20% of the children in a sports club play tennis. 25% of the children who play tennis also play rounders. There are 8 children in the club who play both tennis and rounders. How many children are there in the sports club altogether? So we know that 20% play tennis, which means that 80% do not play tennis, because percentages need to total 100%. Now we also know that 25% of the children who play tennis, so 25% of the 20%, also play rounders. Now 25% or 25 hundredths can be simplified to 1/4. So 1/4 of the children who play tennis also play rounders. So 1/4, or this bar here, shows the children who play both. Now that will be 5%, because 1/4 of 20 is 5. So that means 5% of children play both tennis and rounders. So we know that 5%, the children who play both, are 8 children altogether. But we want to know how many children are there in the sports club. So we need to find 100% of the children. So we can think 5 times what is 100? Well, 5 times 20 is 100. So if we multiply 8 children by 20, that's 160 children in the sports club altogether. Calculate the area of this triangle. So to find the area of a triangle, to find the amount of space that it takes up, we multiply the base by the height and then divide by 2. So we need to work out 12 times 9, because 9 is the height, that's the distance from bottom to top, and then we divide by 2. Now 12 times 9 is 108, and 108 divided by 2 is 54. So this triangle has an area of 54 centimetres squared. So notice we don't need to use this length of 15. This is just the other side length. To find the area, we only need to know the base and the height. So we don't need to know that this length is 15 centimetres in order to calculate the area of the triangle. Write the two missing values to make these equivalent fractions correct. We have something equals 10/12 equals something. So this fraction here has a numerator of 30, and 10 times 3 is 30. So if we do the same to the denominator, 12 times 3 is 36. So that's our denominator. But now we have a fraction with a denominator of 30. But 30 is not a multiple of 12. 12 is not a factor of 30. We can't multiply 12 by a whole number to get 30. But what we can do is simplify the fraction first. So both 10 and 12 are in the 2 times table. So if we divide the numerator and denominator by 2, that gives us 5/6. And 30 is a multiple of 6. 6 times 5 is 30, and 5 times 5 is 25. So because 10/12 is the same as 5/6, and that's the same or equivalent to 25 over 30, our missing numerator here is 25. In a zoo, the adult polar bear weighs 3 times more than the baby elephant. Together, they weigh 700 kilograms. How much does the polar bear weigh? So, with a bar model, we can draw 3 bars for the adult polar bear and 1 for the baby elephant, because the adult polar bear weighs 3 times more than the baby elephant. Now we know that together they weigh 700 kilograms. So first we need to find the value of each bar. We have 4 bars and a total of 700. So we can divide 700 by 4 to get the value of each bar. And if we use short division, 700 divided by 4 will give us 175. So each bar is 175, and we have 3 bars for the bear, so that's 175 times 3. If we use short multiplication, we'll get 525. So that means the polar bear weighs 525 kilograms. That's 3 times as much as 175, and together 525 and 175 weigh 700 kilograms.